Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, greetings. I am Dr. Jamel D. Carter, the president and CEO of the Kayannus Consulting Group, where we are a full service management and educational consulting practice, where we assist organizations like yours align human capital with organizational strategy. We have a variety of services available to you and your team, such as executive coaching, human resources and organizational development consulting, market research, intensive boot camps, such as our nonprofit formation, business growth strategies, grant writing, as well as fundraising and development. In addition, we offer growth circles, which are intimate groups for leaders to come together for personal development, for professional development, peer encouragement, and up-to-date best practices and research. Join a growth circle today. We have growth circles for CEOs, entrepreneurs, pastors, nonprofit executive directors, and educational leaders. This is your health and education alert for Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. Your source for breaking news, information, trends, and commentary, all designed to assist you in thriving in both life and career. I invite you to like, follow, subscribe, comment, and share. In addition, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Dr. JD Carter. That is @DRJD Carter, CARTER. So there were a couple of health related stories that I do want to share with you in case you missed them on today, as well as several from the world of education. I will be brief on this evening, and I will provide you the information and get out of your way so you can continue with your evening. The first news that hit the wire on this on today was Sanofi makes a $75 million preclinical investment in order to join the likes of Roche, Novartis, and more in the congested Parkinson's field. Essentially, what we are seeing here is research and innovation is critical for biotech and pharmaceutical companies to sustain and go on into the future. You need a strong pipeline. And Sanofi investing $75 million, they're hoping that that will be enough to help them develop a pipeline in the Parkinson's area in terms of maybe developing their next blockbuster drug. What does this mean for executives? What can we learn from this strategy? The question is, are you consistently updating your products, the service offerings, offerings? My goodness, I don't know what's going on. I guess it's been up pretty late. Offerings that you're offering to your clients. If not, then you need to spend time in research and development. This is the only way that you're going to grow and thrive as a business professional and executive. Just because something is currently working today does not mean that it's going to work 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now. If you look at it, there was once a time when the typewriter was state of the art. Now it's outdated, it's old technology. Things have moved into different directions. And so, whatever business you are in, you need to dedicate some of your funds for research and development and exploration of new technologies and products and services that you can offer your customers or clients. If you never evolve, you're going to die. Let's look at Blockbuster Video. Blockbuster Video did not get into streaming. Blockbuster Video was married to the old model in terms of how people consumed entertainment. They had a narrow focus. If you have a narrow focus in terms of the type of business you're in, chances are you will fall by the wayside and will not continue to grow and thrive. So that's I do want to commend Sanofi for making the $75 million investment to explore their next possible blockbuster drug in the Parkinson's area. Pfizer has taken the axe to their U.S. sales force by cutting jobs amidst a push to go virtual. What we are seeing, there is a lot of things happening concerning our labor force. And what I will say concerning this, we do know that there is a labor shortage for some industries. We also see that with companies going virtual and remote, they're realizing that they do not need as many bodies to fulfill the needs they thought they once had, so they're cutting back. How does this apply to you? I hope you have developed multiple streams of income and revenue. If you only have one source of income, you have put yourself in a vulnerable position. There's no guarantee that the job you have today will be there tomorrow. Yes, you can land another job, because I know most of you who are watching this are Christian executives. I will say, yes, you can land another job, but I think you secure yourself if you're developing skill sets as well as your own offerings. Invest in yourself, invest in your abilities, find another source of income to add to the current source you already have, and you will see God add to you and your family. I do pray that those that are working for Sanofi will quickly land other jobs elsewhere. But definitely for those that are starting the year off finding that they have lost a job, that is something that is very sad. But for those that are working at Pfizer, this is their reality. So you don't know, if you're not in the boardroom, if you're not part of the decision-making team at your place of employment, you don't know when they may cut or slash your job. So make sure you have a backup plan. Make sure you have a side hustle. Make sure you have multiple sources of income. What we have also in terms of the world of health, Freenome has received $290 million from Roche. This is happening as it prepares the next stage for their blood-based cancer testing next steps. So you're seeing Big Pharma and Roche getting behind Freenome. I do think there's a lot of groundbreaking research that is being done. There's going to be some winners. There's going to be some losers. If you're someone that's looking in an area to invest, I will tell you, not that I'm giving you investment advice. Whatever you take, you can use it on your own. But I do think the biotech sector is hot. There is a lot of money being made by Big Pharma and biotech when you're looking at the vaccinations that are out there. There's a lot of money to be had for Big Pharma, and many of them are using the funds that they're having coming in from various products to invest in creating a strong pipeline. So look at your Pfizer, look at your Sanofi, look at those that are spending large sums of money to develop a strong pipeline. Yesterday in the Executive Edge podcast, we were talking about Johnson & Johnson, who is the largest company, pharmaceutical company in the United States per market cap, that is now splitting off into two separate companies. So definitely, I'm saying, if you're looking for a sector, if you're looking for jobs, explore the biotech pharmaceutical industry, because there is a lot of potential to be had. Moving to the world of education. Some of you may have seen that on today, New York area city school students were walking out protesting in-person classes. They do not want to be in school because they are fearing the Omicron variant. We have teachers and administrators and staff that are fearing the new variant. And I will say this. I believe this is the result of hysteria that was created last year. Go back and look at the data. If you look at the data yourself, not what you were told via Fox News, not what you were told via CNN or MSNBC, but if you take a hard look at the data, you will see that there is really not much difference in terms of what we have going on. Now, I know some of you may be saying, we are having record-breaking cases of COVID being reported now, of the Omicron variant. I would say we didn't have testing to the level that we have testing now. So chances are, previously, as some have, hypothesized, that we had widespread outbreaks that we did not know about. I think what we're seeing is that this is a very contagious disease. And I think with more testing, you're starting to see that more people are having it. But I think if you look at where some people estimated in terms of the numbers of people that may have contracted the original as well as early variants, there's not much change. Now, what has happened because of the efforts that were made to kind of bring this under control, because there was a lot of information that people did not know, they shut things down. But as data was being shown by those that were doing their due diligence and reading, you'll see it's essentially the same. And so you're having a different reaction by those who are in leadership. Some may say there are different things that are driving what's going on in terms of closing schools and what schools are going to do. But I will say the students desire to work from home. There are people that are contracting COVID. But I do think when you look at the death rate of those that have gotten Omicron and you compare it to, what the death rate was for the original, if you get back to the original version of COVID, less than 1% actually died in America from the disease. And that's kind of what we're tracking with some of these variants. Yes, people are getting sick. Yes, there are people that are going to the hospital. But when you look at the mortality rate, it's essentially the same. And, I think people are treating it a little bit different. There are different suggestions that people are saying what needs to be done in terms of therapeutic. But when you have young people that went through such an emotional turmoil and trauma, they're not trusting that this is the way to handle these new outbreaks, this new wave, because this is not how you handled it previously. You scared them to the point that they're fearing for their lives. When we really look at the data is the same. And so I do think people, this isn't to provide any type of misinformation. I just think parents need to do what's best for their sons and daughters. If you desire to homeschool your child, homeschool them. If you feel that they should go to a school that will allow them to have in-person learning, you can do that. I do think what we're probably going to see is people crying out for school choice as a result of some of the decisions that are happening. But we saw in New York, students are demanding online instruction. The University of Utah Black Cultural Center received a bomb threat. I will say that this is sad, but I think it shows what we are seeing for men and women who are African American, who are Black in America. Some of them are seeing difficulties where you would think you will be at a place that will be welcoming. In higher ed, we hear so much rhetoric concerning inclusion, equity, diversity, anti-racism. But what we also see at places of higher education, as we had shared with previous stories, there are people that are backwards in their thinking. Just because it's an institution of higher learning does not mean that it's truly open for diversity, for inclusion, for equity, and for anti-racism. And I will say, as a Christian executive, as a Christian leader, we know that Christ was very inclusive. He opened up and died for all. The scripture tells us, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He did not just love portions of the world, but he loved all the world. And so I think that if you're a Christian leader, if you're a Christian parent, we need to go out of our way to make sure that we're sharing the gospel with all and that we're creating an opening environment. And we need to share with our sons and daughters that to be a great Christian is to be one who loves people, for we know that Christ loved people. The University of Louisville has threatened to discipline faculty members for remote instruction. I understand that faculty and staff are nervous. I understand people are more concerned with their health. I feel personally that there are a lot of leaders that are losing capital with their faculty, with their staff, with their administrators based on decisions they are making. Now, I'm not saying that you have to make decisions that are what your faculty, staff, or administrators want, but I do think you need to lend yourself to creating an environment in which everyone's opinions are feeling welcomed. I think there are a lot of leaders who are talking down to their employees from a pedestal. And I think when you're threatening discipline action on people for remote teaching, if you're having outbreaks and you have a whole class that have tested positive for COVID or one of its variants, I think that that is very problematic. I think leaders need to speak to their staff, to their students, and reassure them that they have scenarios in place in terms of what may be a catalyst for a school closure, for a partial closure, for going back to online instruction. I think this type of information needs to be communicated. And if you're carrying a big stick and threatening to fire and discipline people, but not communicating with them that you hear them, you understand their concerns, and these are the conditions or the levers in terms of what may lead to changes, I think that is problematic. You know, we're seeing record-breaking positive rates of infection. As I said, the mortality rate is still the same or roughly the same of what we had with the original version of this disease. But I think that there are a lot of leaders that have not reassured their staff that they are safe and that they have their best interests at heart. It's going to be interesting to see if this will become a problem at the University of Louisville or elsewhere throughout the world of higher education as well as K-12 education. But I do think the leaders need to come out and they need to address some of these issues that their staff are feeling. Or you may find a lot of people looking for work elsewhere, thus creating staffing shortages and work not getting done. Ellucian today announced that they have acquired financial aid software provider Campus Logic. I do think mergers and acquisitions are good. It's going to be interesting to see if there's some synergy that results from this merger between Ellucian acquiring Campus Logic. I do think this is good news for Ellucian, especially when you have Ohio State on earlier this week, or maybe it was yesterday, announced that they were pulling out of being an early adopter for Workday Student. And so I do think Ellucian, who's been around for quite some time with their banner system, as well as some of the other services they offer with Colleague, I do think that they're creating protection for themselves as a company, and congratulations to them for acquiring the financial aid software provider. I hope you have found this alert to be informative. I hope you have learned a lot. I also pray that God will send customers and clients to your organization from the north, the south, the east, and the west. And my prayer is until next time that you will continue to be blessed. And if you need help or assistance in aligning your human capital with organizational strategy, that you will reach out to us and consider the Kayannus Consulting Group. Take care. Until next time, be blessed.